Welcome to episode 66 of our board game podcast, The Master's Degree in Rolling Terribly. This week is basically like any other week, meaning that I'm your host, Eddie, and joining me this week, a man who's easily triggered when they hear all characters and character summons at -1 to their move abilities. Gaz! Say hi slightly slower, Gaz.
Yep, I'll slowly get there. Slug along.
Yeah. You love the negative conditions, that's right. Like, not conditions, but things that alter numbers and the way you play, right?
Yeah, totally. They're the best.
In a negative way.
Yeah, in a negative way, yeah. Anything that stops you being able to play the game is always heaps of fun. It's the best type of fun. It's like, hey, you came here to play Frosthaven. Oh, -1 to fun.
Would you believe me if I told you that I love negative effects in games and I'm never triggered?
No.
Yeah, okay. The negative effects thing, I don't know yet. But the triggered thing, look, yeah, it's definitely...
You love getting triggered.
It's happened
But
a
you
few
tell us
times.
that you're not triggered.
Yeah.
Until we check with you and you say, I'm not triggered. I'm fine. I'm fine.
I'm that person. Yeah, 100%. It's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Why? Completely, as I'm like pursing my lips and biting my face.
Why don't you ask me if I'm okay? Side note, this should be the best episode ever because it's my favorite number twice.
Oh, really? I don't know what your favorite number is. I think there's not really a...
6.
Yeah, I worked that out from what you said. But I feel like it's not really
a puzzle.
something
You're
you
getting
ask
better
anyone.
at puzzle.
Oh, thanks. It's not really something you ask someone, right? Like maybe it was in the old days. Like now it's like, do you have an iPhone or an Android? But back then you're like, hi, my name's this, etc. My favorite color is blue. And what's your favorite number? Like my favorite number is 3.
And then you've exhausted all the conversations with that person. Yeah.
We need to bring it back as a society because I think numbers are getting neglected in terms of favoritism and preference.
I reckon if you ask most people if they have a favorite number or a preferred number, I reckon most of them would say would have one. I agree with you that it's not usually like, top 5 on their like, player profile style bio, right? Like you're not putting it on your Tinder profile, like
74.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, but I reckon most people would have a preference some way or the other, and it'll usually be completely based on something that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, okay.
Because it has to, right? If anyone's like, no, really, this is the best number because of these reasons, and I'll die on that hill, then
okay. So
then it's not wrong. But,
so quickly, what do you think the most common favorite number is?
Well, I don't know what the Chinese lucky numbers are, but there's a lot of people in China. 8, yeah. So I would say 8 because there's probably more people in China than everywhere else.
Yeah, okay.
Whatever India as well, if they have a lucky number, probably them because there's also a lot of people over there. But I reckon from Western society, 13 is usually 13 and 7.
Yeah, okay. Are they not cliche lucky numbers? I would have thought it would have been 3 because mine's 3, and I feel like everyone likes 3.
Well, it's half of the best number, so it's like half good.
Sure. That's why you do the 6 turtles thing. Now I get it.
Oh no, that's actually that's not on
coincidental,
purpose, but I think it's so ingrained in me that that's my number that I pick that, right? Like if you ever said if I ever say I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10, okay, and you had to guess this, always guess 6.
Yeah, okay.
Because even if I'm not thinking that, that's what I'll pick.
Yeah, okay. It's like it's like always play rock, right? And rock, paper, scissors. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because nothing beats it.
Okay, before we lose everyone, just quickly.
Post your favorite numbers. That's it. Just a DM with the number, and that's it. No explanation.
That's all we have time for today. We had a little discussion breakout after our last episode went up in the Discord about the whole cheesing thing, and it was really cool to actually see sort of different points. It was a civil conversation between adults, and it was interesting, and I liked it. Right, it was really cool. It was about what groups find acceptable, what feels wrong, and I liked your points about like the ambiguous cases with like player's choice, which I find is an interesting take, especially in a game like this where monster movement to a desirable hex, it's up to us, which means you, of course, would play it to be, advantageous towards your group. Or they're infusing an element. You would infuse an element that one of your teammates want to use, right? And it kind of got me thinking about, like, because we mentioned in the past, we do what we call the Cthulhu rule. And what that was a lot of the early games that I played, Eldritch Horror, Arkham Horror, all that, they have a rule in all their rules references that's called the Grim rule, right? And we call it the Cthulhu rule because of, all the games that it features in. But it's got me thinking about that particular part. If players are unable to find the answer to a rule or a timing conflict, in this rule's reference, resolve the conflict in the manner that the players perceive as the worst possible at that moment with regards to winning the scenario, and then continue with the game. How much would a Grim rule change Frosthaven?
Oh, it would be rough. Like, I think it would be rough in some scenario situations, but I think it would also create sometimes more analysis paralysis, because if you have a multi-target attack, right, you currently get to pick. If you then had to work out what was the least desirable, or like what was the worst for players, then suddenly you're going to get into this weird situation where, like, well, that's ambiguous as well.
Well, it's like card ordering and interactions and timing and all of that. We spend a lot of time sometimes in a scenario when a niche situation comes up, and we find them. We can find the niche scenarios. They just happen just to a weird interaction. And then, yeah, I'm jumping on my phone, going through the Discord or Googling it or whatever, or one of us or several of us are when it completely stumps us. How would you Grim rule that? Just, it doesn't work. Oh, it backfires and you take 10 damage. Like, the spell or whatever.
I think so. I think that's it, right? Because it's a co-op game, so it's always worse is going to be in favor of the monsters. So if it's like, oh, does this interaction work? If you don't know, then the answer would be no.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it makes it really clear because you always have a goal. But then Frosthaven's kind of goes the other way and says, you just decide. Right. Which I don't mind. I don't mind. I think that was kind of the point of it. And I completely see both sides. And I think I guess for context, this is the first time we've ever gone into a scenario or with a strategy of trying to exhaust the amount of standees so that we can open doors and not have more. Right? Like, I can't think of another one we've done that on purpose. I think it's happened before when we didn't know, but that's more because of summons or spawns. So it was just an interesting conversation about using that as part of the rules and the ambiguous stuff as part of the puzzle.
Do
right?
I was going to say, do you think that the Grim rule is an lazy implementation, like in board gaming? To almost, like, you know what, we can't flesh all of this out, so here's a nice simple way for you to deal with it.
No, I don't think so. I think it's I mean, maybe, but I feel like, because we're probably talking a lot about board games that don't get mass amounts of support post being created. So these are the kind of questions that will just go on forever. Like, they won't get answered, and they don't have like these ongoing communities or devs that post on Twitter about it, because it's not a role-playing game or a living game. So I feel like it's a safe way of going. If you can't figure this out, it's the worst answer, right? And also it kind of tied in really with Cthulhu.
Yeah,
it was like, you're in a shit situation, you're not sure what the right option is. It's like, oh, you probably die.
Yeah,
like that's it. Like, always dead.
Well, it makes sense. The rule set in those games are probably a little bit cleaner, so that you can that knowing what the worst possible thing is quite obvious. Whereas in this, it just because of all the different layers, it might be too hard to work it out when you just want to know whether or not this works with this or something like that.
So yeah, yeah. So I think it's I think if you make a blanket, like, just solve all your problems with this rule when you could actually put clarification in, it's probably lazy. But I think in the most case, again, you're talking about these board games that get one printing and then they're just kind of there. Right. And then it's like, community figure this out. Occasionally you might get some kind of update if it's, I don't know, really pushed. But unless there's an errata, it's not getting answered.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. So Mark's Fisting Guide will be available soon. in the same format as his
That's
punt.
on OnlyFans, right?
No, you kind of.
Oh, we're
Um,
going on YouTube.
so it'll be available similar to his Bone Shaper and his Trap format. And yeah, Kaz got in there nice and early. The uncut version will be available via Cash App. Let us know.
Sorry.
No, 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 no. I love it. I love it. We're
So you
the
can
same
tell
wavelength.
if anybody ever thinks that this is scripted, right, or we have any idea what the other person's going to do, me jumping the gun and ruining Deddy's jokes, thinking that it's my joke, is a good evidence that we have not thought of this.
No,
We have
no,
not. We have not. Come together to discuss this.
no. It's our joke. We'll share it. On today's episode, we're going to be covering scenario 61, life and death. We're going to be covering yet another retirement ultimately. And we're going to be having a chat around that particular moment and situation. And we're bringing it back as House Rules Volume 3. Get excited. But,
I am. I love a good house rule.
Yeah, but you got to get through the rest of the episode first, guys, before we can jump straight to it,
Yeah.
okay?
All right. Just spacebar, 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 spacebar.
No. So, first bit we need to talk about, because scenario 61 is a kind of hidden kind of scenario, is Mark and the puzzle book. So, I will advise that the following is not going to be like full spoilers and all of that for, I guess, the puzzle book, but it's going to be about it in general kind of thing. So Mark is actually prepping a puzzle book video that we're going to be recording together, where he goes down how he solved a lot of the stuff. He's actually saved a lot of his working outs and, all of the scribbles and online stuff where he's just used, Photoshop to move, measure things and line things up, which is going to be really interesting to actually find out kind of how he put it all together. And basically, yeah, he's put a lot of effort into this, and I think he's quite excited to go ahead and do this. But this correlates with this particular scenario, which is unlocked through the puzzle book ultimately. And when we did that, we all decided collectively, well, we need to do this. This is almost like a mandatory main thing that we feel we need to do. All the side stuff that we have been doing can obviously wait. And he's done really well for someone who, he asks me a lot of questions when he's not too sure on something, because he wasn't there during certain scenarios that it may relate to, which is really interesting, which means I have to use my brain and actually think about stuff back then to then say, I don't know, this scenario that you weren't part of, we did this. Does that help? No. Does this help? No. But no, it's, like today's scenario is literally a result of his hard work. And we thank him very much for all his good work there as well. And Phil as well. Phil has definitely helped in that regard as well. In fact, all of you have. I've been the least helpful, and that's fine by me. The end of last scenario, we didn't do an Outpost phase, so we're going to start this one just quickly talking about the event. And we had Outpost event, or Winter Outpost event 57. Do you remember this?
Was it anything to do with Zane?
No, it was not. Ultimately, what happened was, I think there was a Savas who had organized a play of some kind.
Oh, is this one? Yeah, okay, all right. Yeah,
Talking about, I don't know, like, I think it was talking about Frosthaven. I'm not going to
mercenaries.
re-rate it.
It was
Yeah,
like our
about
life
us.
story, basically.
It's about
Yeah,
us, which is really, really cool. And towards the end of it, you can choose to either congratulate him to say it was an accurate portrayal of what happened, or you can say it was nothing like being a mercenary and actually request a refund from him. And we, for some reason, or it's only because when this happens, no one really says anything, and then Phil just immediately goes, "No, fuck him. Let's just request a refund." And it's hard to argue with that because no one else has thrown an opinion out there.
Yeah, because I feel bad constantly saying, like, okay, this is really simple. Do the right thing, right? That's it. End of story. But I feel like I don't like being the one always like, no, we should do this one. Because if everyone's like, I don't care, I'm just like, sure, well, I'll let someone else decide. Hopefully they choose the sensible thing.
Yeah, but the person who says it is Phil, and Phil is all about death and destruction.
You know what? Mild spoilers here for a completely different Outpost event. So again, but there is one that I believe the last one that he made a call on was when there was a certain package arrived,
Oh,
and we were. I won't say what we did or didn't do, but we chose wrong, and he chose the wrong thing, and it was along the same lines of "fuck this guy, let's get our money back."
be a douche or do the right thing. Got you. So we're
Correct, right?
seeing
Yes,
that
it was. So
despite being a fantasy game, you can be a dick in the real world and in this game, and it's still bad. It's still kind of frowned upon.
it is
Gotcha.
very frowned upon. Yeah.
Yes. So, interestingly enough, we were dicks, and we lost the prosperity basically.
A prosperity.
Yeah. Not even morale, nothing like that.
We
And
could I would rather have lost 27 morale.
look, this is the twist. There's a little twist here. Are you ready for this, guys? Because you were not aware of this. So I told you, because I looked at the alternative at then and there, because we're so far deep into this thing, we're starting to break around rules. I looked at the alternative, and it was gain of prosperity. But before that, there's one of those keywords, right? And it was outcast. And if anyone has outcast, you resolve B anyway. And you don't have outcast, I don't have outcast, and neither does Mark. But Phil does.
Oh, because he's yes, okay. So he would have screwed us anyway. Ah, okay. All right. So okay, cool, good. I mean, it's glad to know we were fated to lose a prosperity, regardless of what we had decided.
Yep. 100%. So it's like Phil's fault, but that's not. But then it actually 100% is. It's so funny, just how it
I
kind
love
of
the
panned out.
idea, like thematically as well, that we're all there, even though I'm a robot, and like we have a very weird party makeup, right? A robot, a giant crab, you're a fire dude, and we're watching this play. In fact, the Drifter is the most normal character or like kind of person out of all of
Like
us.
he's got hair.
And then, yeah, he's like not on fire or a giant monster, right? And so the play ends, and we're all like, "Bravo, great job, that's really accurate." And he's like, "I want my money back," and like kicking out, and that's it, done. Like, I just like that idea that he's just like so uncouth.
Yeah.
He's just like,
And everyone, the whole town's like prosperity goes down because of
yeah,
it. Like that's how
they're like,
dramatic it was.
they're like the Drifter said it's bad. Oh, it must be real
The
bad.
shovel creator.
Yeah. He cuts his own hair, don't you know?
He does. So yes, we did that. We did our regular outpost phase. This is to start the scenario, already off to a good start. And then we decided to do our road event, which was Winter Road Event 16. This was to do with the Valrath, ultimately, who was getting set upon by Algox, I don't know, raiders or something like that.
Just before I go into that, because I want to ask a question, and I realize I probably should ask it while people may be skipping this due to not have been doing the event, right? So with that outpost event, so just again, if you came and you're like, aha, they stopped talking about it, and now we're
No,
talking about
there'll
it
be
again.
music playing.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so play the music. Play that same song.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about an outpost event where you have no control over the results and you are going to lose a prosperity?
That's not 100% what this was. It was for our situation because it's obviously tied to a keyword.
That's what I mean.
But that I'm okay with because that's just like lol funny in my head. Right?
I mean,
If it was
okay,
like
yeah.
if option A and option B were the exact same results, like regardless of any other factor, I would feel like that's a bit shit.
Okay. So this is completely out of our control, right? Because you don't you don't know, right?
No, but
It's not like if it had at the start, hey, which of you would like to attend the theater, right? For each that attend, it costs you 5 gold, right? And then you go to the theater, and now if any of the people who went there have the keyword, then it's bad. So you kind of, at least it's a push your luck thing.
totally, like totally. But then I mean, I like that a lot, but it's just that's just not how they do them. Not to that extent.
No.
Yeah.
No, it just seems for such a big penalty,
Yeah.
Like prosperity is the one thing that's the hardest to get, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
but there
and
have also been events that we've had, or section events that have given us a prosperity as well. You know, all the ones that you get from buildings and all the ones you get from the retirements, like you can't lose those effectively unless you never pull the plus prosperity from an event, like I just said. So I feel like it's, you know, they giveth and taketh in a way, except you're in a bit more control of those situations, just a little bit.
yeah.
In other words, don't be a dick. That's the moral of the whole story.
It doesn't matter though. We could have been really nice and said that was the best story
But
ever, but because that guy's
that's the role
there, then
playing
you lose.
part, though. That's the world
But
setting
this,
and role playing part is that we're trying not to be a dick,
yeah,
but one guy labeled himself. He's got a giant sticker on himself that literally says, "I'm an outcast, so I'm gonna be a dick regardless." And they're like, "I'm sorry, regardless of how much praise you had, that guy shouldn't be here. We're gonna be
yeah.
upset about it."
I think I like the idea of it, and I like the fact that having we've seen this very seldomly. I won't say very, but where having the trait is bad. I like that.
Yeah.
I just don't like the idea that it's like you have make a decision. Oh, you made this decision. Well, because you've got this person in your group, then you fail, and you lose a prosperity. Like I would
Is
have thought
is
morale,
that what it
like
is though?
morale.
If it was a negative one, regardless, is it literally just the loss of prosperity that's where you're finding it a bit harsh, and it could be anything else from collective goal to mats to
Nah, I think you're right. Like even if it was lose one morale, regardless of which one you choose, I still would say, oh, that kind of feels a bit bad.
yeah, okay.
I think any time that your agency is taken away, and it's because you're not choosing the characters that go, if there's a choice and there is some kind of signposting towards it, I think it's fine. But just being purely luck of the draw of what characters you've got, and then kind of going down that path, we had no way of doing it. You know, we couldn't think about what we were doing, whether we did or didn't want to go to the play. If it
Mm,
was like, do you want to play yes or no, right? Then at least you have a choice.
yeah.
And you kind of go, okay, you go, this is what happens. You don't go, okay, that nothing happens. You know, return it to the bottom of the deck or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, it was just an interesting thought because I don't think I've seen one before that has been you the same outcome is going to come out regardless of what you choose. I know it had the outcast thing because you could have a different party makeup, but that wasn't within our control.
No, but at the same time, we haven't seen all of the alternatives for all the ones that we've done.
Yeah, true. That's true. So we
So
could there
it could,
could be more.
yeah, there could definitely be more, and there may be also double positives, but it's yeah, unless we go back and have a look, because we've only recently now been like I'm doing it just for the discussion, obviously, and just to tilt you if it was like we got something terrible and the other thing was
It's
amazing.
it's usually only if it's bad. If it's a bad result, like when we met the crab again, and we're like, "Oh, that was terrible. Let's look at the other one. Oh, the other one's shit as well."
Yeah,
Like, okay, good,
yeah.
good. So
Uh,
anyway, sorry for that
no,
derail,
no,
but
no,
it was
no.
an
I love
interesting
it. I'll
thing
make
to
sure I have enough
consider.
music though. It'll be, it'll be looping.
Just play that same song.
Yeah, I will. So yes, Valrath getting set upon, and basically we can decide to protect him.
Mhm.
So we don't want to let these bandits near him take up a defensive position around the Valrath, or option B, the best defense is a good offense, which is cool. It's something to really think about, as opposed to do you want to be a dick or not a dick. These are both obviously doing the right thing.
Mm.
Anyway, we did that and we got an item out of it, which was given to Mark, and he took a few goes to learn how to use it. It's very
What
confusing.
item was it?
Knife.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Very good.
Okay, so on our way to Scenario 61, so a little tiny bit of backstory because so much of the puzzle book and the text I've been photographing the section pages and giving them to Mark in our amDirt chat and all of that, and I decided to read a little bit of it. It says, Crane says we need to find seals. Crane has little seal tracking device, and the little thing goes beep, 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 beep as you get closer to the seals. So we go to the Copperneck Mountains and we spot a cave, and the device is like losing its shit. So we wander in and it's very dark, and then we somehow lose track of time, and then we lose track of our surroundings, and then we lose our sight, and then like Crane calls out to us, and it's like, whoa, hey, there you are, and we turn around, and this part kind of stuck with me because Fortella's reading all this, and I'm just like, oh, and it's Crane, but he's got like black holes in his eyes, and it's kind of freaky. And then basically what's essentially happening is deep terrors are in here and they're melting our brains. And we need to try and keep our minds clear. And then out of nowhere, an axe cleaves one of the terrors in half, and an orchid appears. And she says her name is Moonshard. And she says, "Follow me." And we do, obviously, because we talk to strangers all the time, and it's the smartest thing to do, right? So into 61 we go. The scenario is complete when all enemies in it are dead. We've had a few of these in a row now. It's great. At the end of that round, we read a thing. Scenario effect, add 2 -1s and gain muddle. We're getting a lot of those as well, which is pretty cool. Would love to ignore those. Special rules. We have an ally in this scenario named Moonshard. She has 22 health, and her attacks ignore retaliate, which she could teach us how to do that, because it's really important. She activates on initiative 50 each round and does a move 3 attack with a formula, which ends up being 4. And we can lose cards to negate damage to her. If she dies, we lose. Escort scenario, guys. It's been a while. When was our last escort scenario? Because I did one with Phil that was like a search and rescue. We had the emissaries, and I know we had Crane.
Yeah, the last one I can think of would either be the emissaries, or maybe there was a Crane one after that where we had to escort him around to dig through the piles of crap.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, I'd say it probably has been since we've had. The only other one I can think we had, the ally one, was the Beyblades one where we opened up the door, and like the Inox guy just appeared at the end. It was like, "Oh, hey," and then it was like, "Quick, you got to save that guy."
Yeah, okay.
But that wasn't really escort. That's just like, "Hey, there's an objective here with 20 health. If you wait too long, he dies."
It was an escort quest. We had Ormi in that one.
Yeah, that's okay. That was the but that's what I mean. The scenario isn't. Yes, correct though. So yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, okay.
And this is also one I don't believe with. I have no idea. With the emissary ones, can you discard cards for them not to die?
I can't remember.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. I can't remember.
I feel like we've done ones where you have to escort someone and you don't have that option, and they're way scarier, right? Like the priest in like scenario 2 or whatever it is.
Oh yeah,
right. It's really scary when they just go, "Oh, I'm going to go here," and then there can be situations where you can do nothing about it. So I think starting this one, I was just like, yeah, it's not as bad. Like we have the opportunity. It's not if everyone has to make it. So someone has the opportunity of booking themselves for her not to take damage. And that's at the end of the day, you can just kind of say that way.
What's cool about this is also she's not just some walking person that's walking to a goal or an objective or whatever. She's actively smashing things, which is nice.
Yeah, I guess actually in the lore, she's probably like, "Oh, not another escort quest."
Yeah,
like I'm gonna take these four guys.
People.
Like, yeah, they're lost again. Hopefully, they don't like walk slightly faster than me, but run slightly slower than me. Like.
Challenge cards, we had Beguiling Force, so we're down to 4 challenge cards. We really need to knock these out, but we're doing them very carefully because
they're so hard.
They're very hard. And this one, we decided to go with Beguiling Force, so all enemy ranged attacks have push 1. There's only one ranged monster in here, even though one of the other ones also has 1, I think, ability, or maybe 2 that does a ranged version of it. So it kind of felt like between schlongs, which are melee, and then the actual ranged attacks, it felt like we could probably squeeze this one out. Yeah. Our pets, we had Lunacy the Hound. That's the one that does +1 to attacks when an enemy is adjacent to one of your allies. And Stu's through the Forest Imp, which is heal 3 in initiative order. Monster combinations, we had Deep Terror, we have Bin Demons, and we have Harrow Infestors. Now, Harrow Infestors is interesting because we've never killed one before.
No, though, as soon as it said kill all enemies and I saw an Infestor, I was like, "Oh, well, this is impossible. Like, why would they design an impossible scenario?"
It's very cool that we saw these last year really early in scenario 32, Raven's Roost, just before the big tree. And we've not seen them since, which I thought was weird because I swear, like, it was like Chaos Demons and Living Dooms. We only saw once and then never again forever. And then we got heaps of them. This is the one mob that we just never find anywhere.
Yeah, for those that maybe don't remember all the way back there, or you've jumped on more recently and haven't listened all the way through, when we did that scenario, there was, I think, 3 infested harrows that were all elite. And in that scenario, there is a big tree, there's a room you start in, and then when you open the door, you into this big room, there's a tree at the other end, and we kind of, Phil went forward, we sat there and fought the harrowers for a bit. We got like 1 or 2 of them down to like 1 or 2 health, and then they just spent like 2 rounds healing and shielding. So we just went, we're just gonna skip them, right? We're just gonna jump past them, and we had a bone shaper then as well, who basically just sucked in aggro. So we ran off, got far enough away from them, so they aggroed him, and we're just like, we'll just don't deal with them. So the joke or the fear always has been is that they are impossible to kill because we tried. So we just like think between the 3 of us, it was a drifter, a Gemini, and a bone shaper. I think we spent like 2 or 3 rounds trying to kill these things, and just couldn't.
Yeah.
And because they got retaliate every time, all you're trying is hurting you. So it was just like, this is like a a speed hump. I'm just gonna go around it.
Yeah, and I'm a little unsure whether or not I'm excited by seeing them or disappointed that we haven't seen them for ages because of how like messed up they kind of are. So yeah, no, it's cool that we have we get them in this one. Very exciting.
Yeah.
Our party.
The other thing I'll
sorry.
Also, I'll just clarify as well for those that maybe haven't watched our top 10 list of our monster tier list. Our bin demon is Earth Demon.
Yeah, I was meant to clarify that. Whoops. Earth Demon in the bin.
In the bin, yeah. Just so yeah.
So our party consisting of me on the level 8 Meteor, Gaz is on a level 7 Prism, Mark is on a level 4 Kelp, so that's the new one that we've now introduced, and Phil is on a level 4 Drifter, who is also obviously new, but it's not a new character class. First room setup, we have a large hex tile, 2 elite deep terrors, 3 harrowers, 1 of them being elite, a few obstacles, and a door. And we have 1 section link that currently says, when the door is opened, we read a thing. Initial thoughts, Gaz?
Terrified of harrowers. 2 out of the 3 monster type have retaliate.
Oh yeah.
I have a lot of summons that don't know how to not take retaliate damage. When I'm not using my summons to do damage, I'm doing lots of hits. So I also don't like retaliate. Like, yeah, fine, I guess.
You couldn't have been going into this feeling overly confident, like from a how effective can I be kind of thing, right?
Yeah. It was going in with the idea, and I've been talking about this a little bit. I've been playing, I think, too safe in regards to my summons. I've had too many backups for bringing them back, and they're not dying that much. Like I'm dying pretty much before they are all dead again. So I kind of went into this going like, like I'm just gonna throw them at them and see. Just take the retaliate and just try to do a bunch of damage. So I was kind of like, yeah, this could be really shit, but let's give it a crack.
Yeah. I was a little bit, I mean, obviously other than the harrowers, which we've discussed, the deep terrors were also making me a little bit nervous, obviously with Beguiling Force. We're a very melee heavy lineup, so I don't know how annoying that's going to be. Even though, because they've got a card that literally, if you're in melee range, they just push you anyway, and then they hit you, which then will now, for this scenario, push you further. And if 2 of them chain off, with the 1 target, that person is flying, which is pretty cool. And picking this challenge card also, I can't think of a scenario where they wouldn't have a ranged enemy.
I think they do that on purpose, right?
Yeah, 1,000,000%. And then the only other thing is that we've got an ally who seems to hit relatively hard, and it's kill all. So maybe it's not going to be that difficult, and it should be fun. So, prep talk. So I have here, Gaz probably won't want a lot of pets out with all that retaliate, but you've literally just explained that you don't mind that, which is pretty cool.
No, that definitely was the mindset. I was just like, I'm going to bring them all out, but they're all going to die.
Yes.
I was kind of like,
what you wanted.
I just got a new card that lets me bring 2 back.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, I feel like that's just now what I'm going to do. I'm just going to cycle through them all.
And that's like fun to see, right? Now Mark is another one who's melee intense, and like he's got a card based on trophies that it's hit, like a blink blade on steroids, which is also not really big fond of retaliate, which is also a fun thing, which would be hilarious. And obviously I'm playing media, and the majority of my cards are melee as well, so retaliate is not fun for pretty much most of the party except for Moonshard and Phil, because he's going to carry us now because he's ranged, or he's playing a range style drifter.
Yep.
So I did my turn 1 trick again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, where I didn't create an element, or I did my normal thing, but I pulled a Harrower over who was doing his Schlong ability. And at the same time, earlier in the turn, Mark called out that he was going to do his little trick from the previous scenario, which was turning all of us invis. Remember? Because there seemed like a sort of turn where go invis, let the Harrowers and Deep Terrors do their thing, and we go afterwards. And I can't seem to go later than enemies on turn 1 because I'm stubborn and I'm very stern with the cards that I play in my opening thing. Which means I activate early, I piss one off, it comes over, and because it's targeting me, it was targeting everyone else. Now, I've got a little rules clarification for you. Invisible people can't be targeted, and anything with a Schlong or anything like that, each hex considers that a target. So no one else who is invis should be hit. We are making it harder for ourselves, which is great. That's what we do.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's
I
more.
thought you could get. I think you could get hit by AOE stuff.
You can if it's like all adjacent targets will take 2 damage, or something like that.
But a hex counts as a target.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So we grim ruled it, right? Now the worst for us, we all took a lot of damage when we didn't actually need to. That's we're okay with that.
Yeah,
I think. Now Harrowers, did you know that they have an initiative 2, which is a shield card? They have an initiative 7. They have 2 of them. 2 initiative 7s. Do you know? I'll let you guess now. What do you think their latest initiative card is?
Ooh, I'm gonna say 30.
I was meant to write it down. I forgot to. It's like 36. It's somewhere around there. 34 to 36, somewhere there.
So there was a very good chance that they could go before you.
Yeah. They would go. They could go before me or go invisible or do their thing. But they've got 2 16s, and one of them is a heal 5 self, which is why it makes sense that they're sometimes really hard to kill because they keep topping themselves up, and then their 2 is shield and all that kind of stuff, which is real interesting anyway. What are your thoughts on Mark blowing his invis on turn 1 in certain scenarios like this? Because it is a burn card, right?
I think it's one of those cases where if it's going to mitigate 20 damage, then it seems fine, right? Like in an opening room where we've got 4, 5, 6 mobs that are all going to attack us, we have a reasonably prep heavy lineup, right? Like Phil's got 2 prep cards to play. I'm usually either doing a summon or I'm doing an attack and a summon, but it's not a big turn, right? Like I'm doing an attack 3. It's not like I'm going to kill something. You're doing an attack, but it's usually a little baby attack, right? Like it's get Quench Rage out and do a baby attack. So you're not doing heaps of damage. So I kind of feel like in a room like this, you're looking at going like everyone's going to get hit by something here if we don't go invis. So therefore it makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think the same was in the last case, in the last scenario we did, because there was 4 cannons. That's a bit easier to mitigate because you can split that up a bit depending on what they draw. Like if they draw the AoE stuff and go before you, then you're in a lot of trouble. But if they draw single target things, it's easy enough to go closer to them and just draw aggro and only one person's getting hit.
Yeah, okay.
And most people have defensive things as well, right? Like you've got your armor that gives you shield and disadvantage for once. That's probably negating a good chunk of what you take. So it's not that bad. It's just really bad if one person's getting hit by everything.
Yeah,
so the invis thing is fine. Again, as long as everybody goes after him.
Yeah.
Right? But as long as there's enough stuff to mitigate.
I think that's the important thing, obviously, because if he plays it, he's committing to it. And I don't remember the other side of that card. Obviously, you could just use it as a base move too and pair it with another card just in case the tables turn and they all do a shield or something like that, right? My only concern with him blowing it early is that if we have most of our armor pieces and all of that kind of stuff will be fresh because it's a brand new scenario, is it a waste of a burn card so early when we could probably just withstand whatever punishment's coming, and it doesn't, because it's the kelp player that has this card. He doesn't then run around immediately knowing that at the end of his first rest cycle is down to 8.
That's the hard part is that he's playing one persistent, and is it 10 card hand?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, going to 8 cards
And it's
on turn
assuming
1.
he's going to play the other one, right? The trophy one of when things die, he gains the trophies with, from bleed and all that. It's assumed he's going to play a second persistent relatively early as well.
Yeah, I don't know if he's been playing 2 or not, but yeah, it's tough. Like it's definitely getting through a lot of cards early.
Yeah.
But I suppose it depends on the levels as well. Like if we're all sitting at like 20 health, then taking a bunch of hits in the first turn is probably fine.
True.
Because the thing is, we don't have a lot of sustain or support. Everyone's kind of like they will take care of themselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where that gets tricky. If
Yeah.
one person gets dropped really low, it's hard to get that person back up. So maybe, yeah, I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
Yeah, I just thought it would, like, I ultimately want Mark to know, and I did tell him on the time that, like, we don't, like, it's great that he's using it, and if he wants to use it, that's completely fine, but we're not sitting there demanding it at the beginning of every kind of scenario, like, hey, do your invis thing, that's what I mean. It just,
No.
I don't want him to feel pressured that we're wanting him to do it.
Yeah, if anything as well, I feel like there needs to be a little bit more motivation to not always prep on the first turn from us collectively. Like sometimes we need to read the room and go, we need to just do something, right? Like prep turn 2.
Hang on, Quench Rage,
No.
Quench Rage definitely prep, but I'm still attacking with it every time and creating an element. Like, I'm still doing other stuff.
I'm not talking about you specifically.
Okay.
I'm talking about all of us in general because it's always been the general like, no, I'm going to play my prep card and everyone else can just deal with it, right? But let's use you as an example because you're the other one on this podcast. Yes, you are playing Quench Rage and then you are attacking, but playing Quench Rage means that the attack you do is doing less damage. So you're not really doing anything on the first turn.
Oh, I'm setting up the second turn, really. Like,
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And that's just fine because again, that's your cycle. So this is why it's not any one person needs to change what they're doing, but sometimes collectively we need to look at a room and say, we have a priority in this room that probably needs to be kill that thing and then prep. Right. And I know it throws it out of whack because I did it on the crab and that really messes up your tempo. I used to do it on the Geminate a lot because we had Drifter, we had Bone Shaper, and we had the Deathwalker who all wanted to stand there for 2 turns and not do anything.
That's right.
So I was generally like, I'm going to go there. And I think I used to use that to jump in the middle of it and do my big retaliate thing. So I got booked, but everything else took heaps of damage. And then you guys could kind of come in and clean up. So it kind of worked. But yeah, I think, I don't know, we maybe have been lulled into a bit of it's okay to prep. And then when we get a scenario like this, we're like, nah, it's fine. It's fine.
Look, we recently unlocked a building that provides bling stuff. And, there are a couple of items in there that really will help that first turn when it comes to some of these preps and persistence. So, it may be worthwhile investing in some of that. Just 1 or 2 people. And then, yeah, it'll definitely move that along. But
just for a bit of momentum, I think. I think there have been scenarios we've done, and 2 very recently, where we need to be proactive the first turn.
Yeah.
In saying that, I think the Invis All is a good counter to that.
Yeah.
Like, hey, cool, I'm going to burn a card so everyone can just do nothing for the first turn.
Yeah. Okay, like it. Speaking of the second round, so I, because of my first round, got to blow a really good Magma Orbs turn, so it was 100% worth it. Even though I wasn't Invis and I still copped all the damage. So really, the Invis did nothing for me. I'm just going to go out there and say it. Like, it's 100% a waste. And yeah, it was a fat Magma Orbs turn. I think on the second target, I used my lucky dice. I pulled a Bless that was given to me. I can't remember if it was because I prayed or if it was Gaz. It might have been Gaz. And yeah, did like a 14-14 on 2 separate targets and something else, and it was great.
Oh, it's amazing second
turn. Only to be told then later on that I think we wanted to leave some of the other lowby things that were on lower health so that Mark can get his trophies and start farming those up. And we just started prepping.
No, it was Phil.
Oh, was it Phil?
Needs them. Well, this is the problem. Now they're both fighting over last hits because Phil needs it to trigger his disco DJ thing back up.
Yeah.
So
I never
we
used
needed
that
to leave.
persistence. So I'm I can't remember what it looked like and how it kind of works. If it's just a persistent card that stays out, and whenever he kills anything, he can move a token back, right?
I think so, yeah. I
Yeah.
think that's the case. So, yeah, so you've got that, and then it was kind of like him and Mark being like, "Oh, yeah," and I think Mark was like, "Yeah, whatever. Like, I can kill other things."
Yeah. So yeah, we cleared up the room. Unless there's anything else in this room, is there anything else that you want to talk about in this current room? All right, cool. Room 2, where the setup was a bendy room with a door at the end. It was a little bendy room. We had 10, and I counted 10 icy terrain hexes that were pathed around the corner and towards the door. We had 2 terrors spread out, ready to snipe us, and hiding around a couple of obstacles. And we had 3 earth demons ready to slide on into us. And then flavor-wise, something was clawing at our mind and we needed to escape this hellhole. It's making it harder for us to fight away the monsters. Special rules. From now on, all characters and character summons gain disadvantage on all their attacks. And Moonshard increases her attack value to 5. So what's going on here? What does this mean, Gaz?
Yeah, so there's 2 things to talk about in this room. Okay, firstly, I think it was really cool that there was just ice everywhere, and the way that it was designed was really cool because, like, Phil went straight in, which was good. He made the call to go straight in, and he was a bit scared about it, but he did it, and I think it was a really good move because A, I think he did a chunk of damage, B, he drew the attacks because there was a chance that if he'd stayed where he was, the demons were going to move forward and clog the door.
Yes.
And then we were all going to be stuck on the other side. And we've talked about how melee heavy we are. And it would just been a nightmare to try and get over there.
Yeah.
The other thing that was cool was the way it was all positioned, and is that if you slid in and then tried to go around the other way, you'd slide straight out the door. So it was like you couldn't even go towards the from where I was sitting, the leftmost, or the one around the bend, the Deep Terror, because if you tried to go that way, you would
slide straight out the door and into room 3.
Zip straight past the guy you wanted. So that was one thing I thought was really cool about the room.
Yeah.
Do you want to? I want to talk about the negative effect.
Okay.
I will in a minute. But do you want to talk anything else about the room first?
Oh, just like, okay. As the media, I'm very disappointed in this room. The minute I saw how many things I had to put down, that means I have no space to put my hazardous terrain, molten lava things. That pissed me off because I'm like, well, how am I going to set things up in here? It's going to be really annoying. I can put things under the deep terrors. So that was one of the things that kind of annoyed me. The other thing was obviously the deep terrors, which are nicely positioned with the challenge card Beguiling Force, with a proper attack would send us straight back out the door that we just came through. So this challenge card has really spiced things up as we thought it would.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. Phil did get kicked back out the door, didn't he?
He went back to the start after a bit. And then were you saying talk about the special rules?
Yeah. I mean, once we're done with this room and stuff like that, we're ready to go on the next one. I'll talk just a little bit of a tangent or.
Are we talking about the flavor of like what we were thinking?
Fine. Oh, no. That's the third room. We'll talk about what we were thinking was going to happen in the third room.
Yeah, okay. It's claustrophobic. I'll just finish off this. It's claustrophobic in the room itself, and it's very frustrating again for the terrain stuff, and we've got big, giant earth demons everywhere. And because positioning is so difficult because of all the ice, it's really a bit of a brain burn trying to establish where you're going to go. And our communication in this room was really good because people were letting everyone know exactly where they were going to go, which sounds really normal and what you should do. The other thing is Earth Demons make Earth, which is something I really haven't thought about much since playing the media because that's an element I use a lot. So I was really, really, really happy with that. And also so far, despite there being now 4 deep terrors that we have fought, they never got off their duplicate.
No, they did in the first turn.
What? Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yes. No, first, no, second. They drew it second turn.
First room.
First room, but you blew one up That's
Yeah.
the one that you crit on with the bless.
Mark disarmed the other one though, as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I
yeah.
mean. Yeah, so he disarmed one, and you crit and blew up the other one, so we never ended up spawning it. But that was the only time they drew it. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. They never duplicated, right?
Yeah, yes. Sorry, yeah. We had one chance, but we managed one chance for them to do it. But you guys did a great job of stopping that, and we didn't see it again. So.
Yeah. All right, take it away.
I won't go on for too long, but it's just something that I felt during this is that having permanent disadvantage feels really unfun. Okay. And I'm not talking about it from a power level perspective, or like how is it harder? And it's because when you have characters and you've put AMD cards in there, a lot of the ones that you pick are usually, a lot of the times, they have text on them, right? And sometimes they're a +1 in text, right?
Mm.
So again, completely ignoring the reduction in damage, it's more that it means that most of the cards you draw,
Mm-hmm.
you don't get to do the fun things,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because even the ones that have text and a 0, unless you draw it first and then draw another 0 or higher, you're not getting to do that, right?
Mm.
So you draw a 0, then draw your fun card, and then you're like, oh, well, I have to choose the first one because that's how disadvantage works, right?
Yes.
I just feel like
If
it would have.
if it's ambiguous, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. So it hasn't really hit me before. I mean, we probably haven't had permanent disadvantage very often. Muddle is a condition that you can work around and it goes away, right?
Unless
And you
you
can give yourself.
Chaos Demons, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. But that's kind of something inbuilt in them to make them more dangerous. But it's not everyone. It's not muddle the whole room every time they do anything. It was so you can kind of stack that. I just felt like it's something that we haven't seen. I was like, this is kind of a bit crappy. And I just feel like it would just having permanent -1 to all your attacks would feel better.
Yeah, that would. They should have
I
done
mean,
that
I get.
instead.
Yeah, I know, but you get what I mean? I get it. It's just it's just something that it hasn't popped up, and I was like, this is not just making it harder, which I'm fine with increasing the difficulty, and that was the whole thing with it. Your mind's getting melted, and it's supposed to be getting harder, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But I feel like it was like, now we're just having less fun every time we draw a card because all the fun cards are just basically ignored now.
Yeah. I see where you're coming from. I will discuss this further because I have my own thoughts on a lot of that. For final thoughts on the scenario when we get to it.
Oh, cool. Well, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. So yeah, Marco's open room 3. It's another long bendy corridor with the door at the end. There's a chest, and then water tiles are littered throughout the whole thing. All of the deities collectively grown. We have an elite Earth Demon, elite Harrower, and 2 normal Deep Terrors. And it is really quite bare in here with 4 standees despite a long corridor and lots of water, which is a little bit annoying. The flavor does point out that you are feeling weaker and your Orchid companion gets stronger. This feels very ominous. Special rules. From now on, all monsters will add +1 to all of their attacks, targeting characters or character summons. And Moonshard increases her attack value to 6. Characters and summons still have disadvantage on attacks. Why? Why does this scenario hate me? Said the deity. Whilst Gaz is too busy trying to keep his pets alive from the retaliate and dealing with 3 to 4 attacks per round of drawing 2 AMD cards due to perma disadvantage. But I'm the one that's disadvantaged, basically. Yeah.
I mean, this wasn't so full like the other one, but the water was in an annoying place that you couldn't drop a straight line of anything. There was enough tiles if you just place 1. If you had place 1 or place 2, you are completely fine.
Yeah.
But if you have anything like place 3 or 4 in a straight line,
yeah,
there was not enough space
Which
to do
is
that.
exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to Igneous Path in here. I'm trying to collect XP, a lot of it in this particular scenario, and Igneous Path does give me an XP for every unit it hits. There was 2 up ahead. Actually, was setting up a future turn for Igneous Path when I went in there and did a Magma Orbs, a non-buffed up Magma Orbs, just hitting 2 targets, both of which put a hazard underneath the target or adjacent to the target, which meant I could no longer Igneous Path it. It really pissed me off. Because that was with disadvantage as well, which it kept coming up as, the 0 at a hazard and then a +1 or something. And I'm like, well, that's annoying,
When you place your specific magma tiles, you can choose to take them off the map from somewhere else, can't you?
Yeah, but like I was still hoping I definitely could. I was just hoping that I wasn't too bummed about the igneous path thing because there was still another door. And I was just like, look, I'll throw it in there at some stage.
Okay.
Yeah. There was a funny thing that happened in this room. I think one of the earth demons that was in the middle, it made its way to us because we were like in a way, well, there's no rush in getting all the way to the end, right? There's no timer or anything like that. We can probably tunnel fight some of these guys while avoiding the deep terrors. So the earth demon sort of was like dum da dum da dum and came over, and then we all planned our cards accordingly. And then everyone did their turn, and Mark went just like before you. And I think he popped his power potion. He was, it's just
Popped
like
everything.
Popped everything.
Yeah.
And he just was like, okay, I know I want to try this. I'm going to see if this works. And he did a 5 trophy, Grim Trophies bottom. And with a power potion. And it was
the hat.
And the hat. And the hat
Yep.
that lets him see ahead and rearrange the top 4 cards. And he blew this thing up, even with disadvantage, which was really cool.
Yeah, amazing what 5 attacks with +3, knowing what your first 4 cards and poison does to a monster.
Yeah, and then what did you do?
Nothing, because I didn't realize when we said we'll both attack this thing, I didn't realize he was blowing his entire load all over this fucking bin demon. So I was like, oh, cool, I guess I move here.
Yeah, it was a good turn.
This is where like you're right, communication in the ice room was top notch. Communication in this room,
in the water room.
Yeah, went back down.
Doing it for 4 quarters.
That's it.
Yeah, so we basically, this room is, it's not too much to report on. The water was in the way for a lot of the people. I still have a move 6, which I then use to basically clear the room and sit near the door and do my long rests and everything whilst everyone else is starting to make their way over.
The biggest issue with this room was what happened when we opened the door to the next room.
Yeah.
This room became substantially harder because we opened the door when we did.
Yes. But also, this was also the room where a theory started to come out.
Oh, yeah, cool. That's right. Because, they were like, oh, okay, cool. So you go in here, you guys get weaker, and she gets stronger. And I don't know, the flavor seemed to be a little bit like, we were like, oh, no, it's wrecking our brains. And she's like, yes, power, give me power. Like, and she's like, we got to push forward. And I was like, she's going to be the boss. We're going to get to the last room.
No.
Yeah. And there became a small element of like, look, guys, if she was to get hit, it's probably not that bad.
100%.
But maybe we keep her on like 25% health so that when she turns into the boss, she's almost already dead.
Correct. Like it was, but the minute you said it, everyone kind of like, yeah, this kind of makes sense. Because at the end, we're all weaker with the disadvantage and all that, and she's hitting hard. That would be a pretty cool way to finish it, right? It would actually work out really well. And it's funny because when the things were multi-targeting, like Deep Terrors were attacking 2 targets and all of that, we were like, well, make one of them her, like let her take it, right? Basically, let's just keep her kind of in our eyesight, just in case the tables turn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we also had a card check in here. How are we all feeling? Mark says he's getting close. Too exhausting. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I only have a few turns left. Phil looks like he's still got a fair bit in him to basically traverse this room because it's going to take him a hot minute. He actually had to use his momentum +2 to movement to actually make it through this room because he, I don't know, doesn't have jump or something. I think he's got some jump cards. I can't remember actually. I just know it took him forever to get through here. How are you going?
I was okay, but all my robots were nowhere near where they needed to be, and I had to get them all through water.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was kind of like, yeah, I've got a few cards, but like I'm not going to do much because.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were actually one that opened the door, I think, which is something that. Oh, I've got a photo of you standing in the doorway with no one else in there, and it was interesting because a lot of the times you're not a door opener because obviously you want your pets to actually have a turn. But But in this particular photo I have of you, I don't see a standee, which makes me think they all died except for the ones you were in, and you were prepared to get them back out again or something. Either that or you were
Yeah,
mid-move.
I think I moved into one and then I unsummoned a couple because I had a thing to put them back out. It was a quicker way of getting them out.
Yeah, okay. This room has got a ship tile, so the ship shape, lol, tile. Two elite terrors are right at the very end, nice and far away. We have a normal harrower and a terror near the door. There's an elite bin demon in the center of the map, which is an earth demon. There are water and obstacles littered around the room, but there's a lot more space in here for overlay tiles. Special rules, in addition to everything we've already suffered and will continue to suffer, all characters and character summons add -1 to all their attacks and -1 to all their movement abilities. And Moonshard has been buffed again. She's been hotfixed to attack 7. And now we hit like bitches.
No, what's more though, now we move so slowly.
Both. And this, we'll probably race through this. This room is the one where I think it cooked most of us in multiple different ways due to that movement penalty, because we kept forgetting and we would plan everything and we would remember when playing the card or someone else would play it and go, don't forget the -1 move. And it was horrendous. The amount of wasted turns.
Basically, all my summons moved 2, right, that I had out. So that means they were moving 1, which is rubbish. I'm pretty sure that Phil was halfway through the water room when we opened the door to this one. That's why he had to put his boots on, because he's like, oh, well, it's going to take me like 5 turns to get in there. So he needed to do that.
Yeah.
Mark was just really lucky that he was next to a wall and he was able to teleport.
For that.
Yeah, he teleported through the wall into the next room, which is like such a good play. Like, he did a great job, but he was so low on cards that was getting him into the room meant that he had like 1 or 2 more turns to do stuff.
Yeah.
And we were just looking at these 2 deep terrors at the other end of the map,
Yeah.
going like, they're like, we're gonna lose because we run our legs fall off. Like,
pretty much, because the challenge card's still kicking in and you still have them, like, it's a kill all. So you got to get within range of these final deep terrors and have the cards for it whilst dispatching, the Earth Demon and all that kind of stuff, which we did. Like, I did an igneous path in there, which was which allowed me to then use the bottom of magma orbs which allows you to put a hazard down and pull them through, and then the top of Quenched Rage, which I never use, which pushes things, I think 3, and if you consume Earth, every hazardous tile it goes through is doubled, which is very cool for dealing with just pure damage. As something. Mark came in and did his disarm on the deep terror right next to us, while then you went in and finished it off. And then it was basically, we decided we were just going to, because did you finish the scenario or did you exhaust?
I died.
Yeah, because it got to a stage where it was you, Phil, me, and Moonshard, and Moonshard finally made it into the room, and Phil also finally made it into the room, and then I was like, look, I'm probably going to sit here and everyone was trying to get me to go up the top to deal with the things, but I wanted to wait until at least Moonshard came in so that we could all go in at the same time. And we charge in. I prepped a huge turn where I was going to reposition one of the deep terrors and do another double attack, only to realize I was 1 movement short, which made me stop just before I could get in melee range of them, only to then be targeted by them and get pushed a few hexes back. I was really sad at the end of this scenario. But fortunately, we had Phil, who came through with Moonshard, and the 2 of them wrecked the remaining guys, which was basically it, unless I'm forgetting anything.
No, I think I discarded my last 2 cards out of my discard to negate damage.
You did, that's right.
Because I think we realized that her and Phil were our win conditions, because we weren't going to kill these things either way. But we just needed. She's hitting for 7 plus a card. They only had like 12 health, I think. Or they were normals, maybe?
No, they were elites. They were definitely elites. I just can't remember how much health they had, like 14 or something.
Something like that. So yeah. So like, we're like, okay, this is fine. She should be able to kill them. And Phil can do multi-target attacks. So yeah.
So we won. Our rewards for the scenario was 1 line, unlock the shards class. And to which everyone was like, oh, look at this Teddy. And I was just like, that's the wrong one. That's not the one I want. and
Yeah.
chucked a wobbly. What were your thoughts on this scenario?
I've got really mixed feelings because I think thematically it was really cool.
Hmm.
Like this for me, if you were just telling me about the idea on the scenario, like imagine you're pitching it. You're like, oh, this is a scenario, and they'll start there, and they'll have this kind of person guiding them, and then they'll start getting weaker, and she'll start getting stronger, and it's all like melting your minds. I'll be like, oh, that sounds really cool. Like I like that idea. Um, but then in practice, it just didn't feel fun because the our best chance of winning it was making the NPC kill everything. Like in the first room, she did a lot of damage. We probably cleared the second room and most of the third room. And then the fourth room was just us not being able to move, waiting for her to go kill the last monsters. Like
Mm.
I think I use the analogy like at when we were playing. It's like if people who have played role playing games, especially for a really long time, everyone's done this before, been part of a session where the DM wants their pet NPC to be in it because they want to have a player character there, but they can't. And this felt like the DM being the Frosthaven game was like, I'm going to put my NPC in here, and I'm gonna make you guys crapper so that my NPC has to be really good, and you have to rely on it. So while I don't have a problem with escorts, and I didn't have a problem with the flavor of it, just the things like -1 move and the disadvantage.
Mm.
Like, moving is the worst part of this game, right? Anything that revolves around moving, or objectives that revolve around moving, or maps that revolve around you just spending cards to move is boring. When you make it take longer to do that, it sucks. All
Mm.
right. Oh, that said, that's one of my most hated parts of this whole game. I like movement from a strategy and tactical perspective. I think the movement in the game is amazing. But when it's like, okay, you need to spend 3 turns to cover this long distance, right? That
Yeah,
feels shit.
I agree with that.
And giving you -1 movement without any way of negating that is just I get the idea of it. It's like, oh, you're gonna struggle to wade forward and hit these things, but it's just a slog. Like, I don't know. I don't know. That's kind of how I felt. So like it's I probably will remember it because of those bits and pieces
Yeah.
and the fact that it had some flavor to it. But I just think it missed the mark from a fun experience perspective.
Yeah, and that would be personal, which, yeah, it makes a lot of sense, right? Like you trying to like people play these games for fun and that kind of stuff, which I agreed with on. I think scenario 52, my worst scenario of all time, which was
Is that
moving
shifting bodies
bodies.
around?
Yeah,
Yeah.
was kind of like it was movement without I don't know urgency or a purpose. I mean, I guess there was urgency from moving the bodies, but yes, long corridors with a movement penalty is kind of crap. A scenario that's kill all with lots of stuff everywhere with no long corridors and just lots of chaos and all that I can buy into, right? Where strategically you have to work around this penalty as opposed to the way you said it, which actually does sound like not fun. Because I really enjoy negative things in games. Like the disadvantage whole thing. I mean, yes, there's been no other scenario that's given us a negative situation like this. And if it was repeated in multiple scenarios, of course I'm going to hate it. But this has just come up this one time, which is why 100% gets a pass. It's baked into the scenario. It wasn't not fun for me with the movement and the attacks and all that kind of stuff. Only because I feel like we're all in it together. And we're all drawing these 2 cards, and it's kind of like, oh, what did you get with your disadvantage? And it's like, what did you get with yours? And hey, I've got a trick. I can move 6, actually 5, and all that kind of stuff. And fun also is, well, obviously subjective based on the topic that's coming up a little bit later. When, like, with the games that we played with the Grim Rule, like Eldritch Horror and all that kind of stuff, when the Great Old One in Eldritch Horror keeps doing bad things and making the game harder, I like that. I enjoy that, obviously. That's like piling on the challenge, which makes the payoff way sweeter, right? When it does happen. And an analogy that I've used that doesn't make any sense at all, but I'm going to use it anyway. It's like the horse scene from the Never-Ending Story. They're walking through that swamp, and then the horse gets bogged.
Yeah, well,
And
we
then it
watched it a couple weeks
sinks.
ago.
And then you got to pull it out. And that feels like a challenge. Right? Does that relate?
Yeah, and like It's just really like it's funny because I hadn't seen that movie in 30 years, and me and Penn and the kids watched it the other night.
That's
Like they hadn't
traumatizing,
seen it, so
man. That's
oh,
traumatizing.
and the kids all were like looked at us and we all looked and went like, "Don't worry, we all went through this."
I thought you were gonna say,
um,
"Don't worry, it lives, like it comes back," and
it
just to make
does.
him forget about it.
It does
Yeah. Okay. Good.
at the end of the movie.
I don't remember.
Yeah, well,
I'll
neither did
rewatch
I,
it.
but it
Yeah.
does.
Okay.
It's
Oh,
like
really?
cruising along.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
oh,
Yeah,
that's fine then.
it's all fine at the end. But I think I'm on 100% on board with the idea of these like stacking up negative effects. I think it's really cool. I do. I like that. Like, oh shit, now here's a new thing we have to deal with. It's just that there are certain things in games that I think again, and I've been on this since we started this, right? I'm always about if you take away people's ability to play the game, right? Then I think that's when things aren't a challenge anymore. That becomes frustrating. And I don't know. I feel like even something like you have disadvantage on all your attacks. At the start of your turn, you may take one damage to ignore this effect, right? You got -1 movement. You can take one damage to ignore this effect. If you made it so that they had to take one damage for each of the effects they wanted to remove,
Mm.
I like that. I like it. You're having to push yourself through it. It's taking you endurance to get through it. You can negate it so that you can get there. And it means that it's a push your luck. You're like, well, I'm going to take disadvantage on this. And if you complain about it, you're like, well, you could take a damage, right? So it kind of that's where you go. I'm making it harder and making it giving you a disadvantage, but I'm giving you an out. But it's not just a choose not to do it. It's like
Mm.
you have to sacrifice something if you want to not have this negative.
I really like that.
And so I just like that's the kind of stuff that I like. It's like a bad choose your bad,
Yeah.
right? Like it's going to be bad, but I just don't like bad that takes away your ability to play the game. And that's what I feel like negating movement does a little bit and disadvantage to a degree. And not always, and there are ways of getting around that with advantage because you give yourself advantage so that you don't have disadvantage. Yeah. So anyway, I think I'm on the same page with you. I just felt like this was slightly too far into the no fun zone, and I feel that you didn't feel that, which is good.
No, no, but I still don't, but I 100% get what you're saying, and I actually like the way you put it, and I really, really like that alternative you put forward, and that's kind of something you do with a lot of these things where you explain why you don't enjoy it or why it's not as fun, but you're not trying to fix anything, but in a way you're showing an alternative, and I really like that. It's got me thinking, hey, the next time. Um, I think they did user submission stuff for Frosthaven, which is why a lot of these side scenarios came from with special guests and all that kind of stuff. You and I need to come up with a scenario. Hell, we could come
Totally.
up with for one for Frosthaven. With our minds combined, it'll have the chaotic mess of mine with some real tight, interesting rule decision space of yours. And I think we'll create something really scary and
Yeah,
potentially messed up. We,
I
we, we
love it.
should create a scenario for like our listeners. Like just put it out
Yeah,
there.
just like a custom scenario.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it. That's it. That'd be cool.
Um, Mark and Phil gave me their quick thoughts.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So Mark said, found it difficult but relatively enjoyable. Agreed with the analogy of a D&D DM inserting an NPC because they want to play, then buffing it and nerfing the party. I like that. You're on the same wavelength. That being said, the progressive descension into mediocrity was ... interesting. We honestly thought she was turning into the bad guy at the end. As a class that has a relatively low movement numbers, I felt like my puzzle was just being in range to melee. Had a cool teleport through some walls to get to the final room, and got to use my big wombo combo earlier, which is fun. Overall, I would say it's a good test for your party if you can get ahead of the NPC, but realistically, you can just open doors for her and she will do the rest. Phil
Yeah.
said,
Hang on. Wait.
oh, okay,
Is his one line?
it's 3 words.
Oh,
I gave him both a task, but I knew how one of them was going to do it. It was okay, is what he said.
love it. It's so good.
Phil
Always
Special's comments, things you look forward to the most.
succinct, right? Well, I talk way too much, and he just says the exact amount, right? Just like I'm just giving it to you in the minimal. I'm paying by word.
Well,
It's like,
he's already done class guides for the others in video format, but YouTube wouldn't accept it because they were under 1 second. So, All me scenario, yes, no.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Like again, once you get ahead of it, there's nothing behind you, and I
much.
don't know if Ormy's really going to Zerg forward. The first room, I think once you cleared the first room and kept him alive through that, you're probably fine.
Well, the second room, he can utilize that ice to get right up in the face of whatever you're not getting up in the face with, which could be a little bit spicy. But if you get through that, the third room is a cakewalk because he gets stuck through most of it. And then, yeah, I think you'll be fine. Communication-wise, I found nothing on the scenario, but I did find something very funny, actually. On Reddit, some guy wrote, I misread one of my players' PQs and accidentally unlocked and played through Scenario 61, Life and Death, as opposed to Scenario 65, which was my Snowflake starting one for the PQ quest chain. So accidentally, instead of doing 65, did this one. Can't remember the name because they don't have their copy at the moment. We realized directly after that this was a mistake, but the scenario was such a doozy that my players wanted to claim the scenario reward anyway. This feels a bit cheap. This feels a bit cheap to me. Does anyone know the intended path to unlock Scenario 61, which led to some interesting discussions and even our good mate Dwarf jumped in there. But what a funny thing to
like the reward. I really enjoyed unlocking this class, this character. Can we just keep it?
Yeah. That's gonna be a real interesting, especially if you're relatively early in the campaign. That's a real we shouldn't have seen that, but also I can't unsee it now, and this is real awkward.
Well, especially how late it comes, right?
Yeah,
like
it's quite.
If you got that early,
that's what Dwarf said.
and
he said it's actually quite late game to get this now. But then I think there was the element of just keep it, whatever.
Look, unless the character, the unlock, which we don't know, we haven't unboxed it yet, is based around being late game, which I don't think it can be because there's no late game in this, right? I feel like it would be fine. Just go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Battle goals I'm not going to do because we're getting a little tight on time. DPS meters I'll just post in here and I'll leave it up on the screen for a little bit. We had our Outpost Phase. Pardon?
Did you win?
Oh, no, I can quickly cover them. I didn't. Oh, I did. No, sorry. No, I did.
Yeah, cool.
No, from Ascending was Mark came last and then Moonshard came fourth with 39 because we tracked her damage as well. So she had 39 and Phil had 41 and then you had 44. So you guys are all sitting in the same area.
Oh, wow. I came second.
Yeah, and I had 74 and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But what I can tell you, and I'm not going to go through the Outpost event, I retired. Okay, I have retired the media. I had PQ'd 9, which was the one around XP generation. And the XP generation was really annoying to me because I mentioned it several times through this that the media doesn't generate the XP that I'm used to generating from previous classes, Shackles, Snowflake, and Drifter, which was really annoying because literally the PQ was around that. But, I mean, I did it in, I think, 15 scenarios, so I averaged about 10 each, give or take. And got to do that. Now I got to unlock an envelope, which is really exciting. And I opened up the library, which has no effect, guys. Except that it does. So very quickly, I'm going to go into just something here that happened around this time in our actual setting. And leading up to this particular session, I caved. Because I knew that the next class I wanted to play was the Astral, and I said to the group, if I don't unlock, or we don't unlock the Astral by the time I retire, I will find out where it is so I can make sure it's the next character I play, because I didn't want to roll something else and have to, play a scenario or something else, and it was just a real headache. I just wanted to find out where it was, and I found the building, and it was amazing that it happened to be in the envelope that I was going to retire, which is just the way it works. And it got me thinking, actually, and I mentioned to you, actually, afterwards, we had a bit of a chat, that PQ, and this is why I think Gunsling and others are saying, how have they not unlocked Astral yet? Because this PQ is a starting 10, and no one picked it. Everyone, and you admitted, you went past it and picked an alternative. I had done that, and who knows about the others? They probably did that as well. And some of these unlocks or things that you're meant to experience early are locked behind maybe the first 10 PQs, which are probably quite important. Everything else after that is like the metal shop depot thing and the inn and all of the shit no one cares about. These important ones are the ones that we unfortunately glossed over. and only now did it. So here's the thing. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So I wanted the Astral. During our 50th, I had a few people, give us voice messages and all of that, and made people ask what their favorite class is, and a lot of people say Astral. And then even someone in Discord said they were assigning the unlocks to us, and I got Astral. So I was determined to. Despite unlocking shards, I was like, look, I've kind of set myself on this, so we're gonna do this. So we upgrade the building because I know it's behind the building, and we build it first, the foundations, and then we build the building. No Astral. So got to the discussion about, can't be bothered re-rolling. We've done everything properly. And then I actually found a document that Dwarf actually gave me that he's been working on called Outpost Phase Fixes version 5.6, where it says Deddy can build and upgrade any building a third time at the cost of, 8 morale, right? So yes, ultimately, I'll admit it, I'm testing one of Dwarf's new fixes before he publishes it to the rest of the community. So then I can find my reportings to him and then he can release it. So I ultimately am helping. So yes, I have retired and I am rolling, and we will be doing a traditional unboxing of the Astral shortly, and it will be featured in our next session.
Yeah.
What a workaround.
Yeah, like we once we knew that was where it was coming from, because Daddy said this is it, because he was being real coy about not playing the shards and about waiting and et cetera, and it was like, it was weird, right? And then when he opened the building, it's like, okay, cool, you get it from this. We're like, oh, okay, cool, that makes sense. No worries. We'll build it twice. We didn't get it. Okay.
Just quickly on that, I only looked up where the shackles obviously came from. The Astral was coming from. I had no idea we were going to get shards then as well. So that was actually a really funny surprise for me.
Oh, that was a surprise.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I was just like, oh, this is awkward, because I could technically now play that. And I was like, ugh. And that's why I was so awkward about the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. And look, we just basically tossed up all the different ideas, all right? We go, okay, idea purely by the rules. Deddy rolls a character for one scenario. We go back to Frosthaven, and then we build the next building, and then he has a character at some level. Maybe he makes what someone else is going to make next, and they just make it for him, and then they can hand it over when they blah, 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 right? Like, we could do that. Or we could just fail the scenario, right? Oh, we pick scenario, whatever. Okay, and we failed it. We don't even load it up, and we just kind of come back to Frosthaven and do another Frosthaven cycle. Technically, that's also by the rules, and it's just kind of, it's doing that kind of thing. In which case, then we just mark off another section in the calendar, and then we build it, and then you can make it. But I was like, look, at the end of the day, building one more building, and it's only upgrading that one, right? It's because the problem was we had if we were going to do the Outpost Phase one again, then we need to do a whole nother Outpost Phase, which is another event. Yeah. We didn't have a section event, so it wouldn't have really mattered. But then it's buying resources again. And I'm like, if we skip all that stuff, then it's not really makes sense. We're just ticking off a day in the calendar and then building, but we're not doing all the other stuff. And I was like, that's more weird. Skip 80% of the Outpost Phase just to do the one part you want to so that you can create a character. So it's just just build the building, right? It's way easier. It's not a big impact. It lets us get the character. It's better content for everyone else. Well, it's better for you because we're playing the game, right? And you're getting to play the character you want to, which we, knew we were going to get. It's so I think at the end of the day, we've played amDirt rules enough to make the game hard enough for ourselves. This is the one thing we're going to do this way.
100%. And it's a good point about the content. I mean, do you people want me to now cover another character we've already played? Because I've just done that. Because I've literally just done that with the media. Because we've had it now for the second time. So yeah, after that little campaign fix, I recently saw a Reddit thread giving us an always fun topic. It was about house rule campaign fixes and what people use to change their games, make them easier, make them harder. And I know you saw this, and then I was like, don't look at it, guys. That's next week's episode.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay.
I want to be surprised.
But ultimately, the goal is to have fun. So, guys, the house rules for this segment is you can't just answer, yeah, that's fine. which you have done in the past. You got to tell me if you would or wouldn't play with it.
Okay.
And
All right.
just some quick
So
thoughts.
this is for our group, right?
Yes. I mean, the
Like,
examples
would I?
ultimately.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
would I play with it with our group, or would I not play with it with our group? Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah.
Well, if you want a definitive answer to me, then I have to define the
Sure, we'll
parameters.
do that.
Right?
And if it doesn't seem as fun, we'll broaden it. All right. Perfect. All right, let's dive. So some of these are all basically copied and pasted, so you have to forgive me if I read them out weirdly or incorrectly, but it's like there's no formatting here. So someone said that we play a rule that elites are smart and normals are dumb. Okay? That means that for all the things that are left up to player discretion, we'll make choices for normal enemies that are advantageous for us and choices for elite enemies that are disadvantageous for us. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'd play with that. That sounds cool.
It's pretty cool, right? It's actually an interesting idea that breaks up some of that, you know, all of a sudden elites are scarier, ultimately.
Well, I mean, it's timely as well. We're talking about the Grim Rule, the Cthulhu
Yeah.
Rule, because that's basically it. Like, Cthulhu rule applies to elites and doesn't to normals. Yeah, that seems fine.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I like it. Sorry.
Yes,
That's
yes. No,
Yep.
that's good. That's good. Someone said in their group, if we get 2 battle goals that are impossible for the scenario, we pick up a third one to choose from. It has to be impossible, not just very unlikely. For example, opening a door in a scenario with no doors, looting a chest where there are none, having monsters on the map every round where the first round has no monsters, etc.
Yep, that's fine.
Cool.
I think you could probably as well, like, you extend it to there are certain that are impossible for certain characters. Like playing the banner spear and having one that says you can't stand next to anybody. Right? Like, I know you can technically work around that with summons, but you're basically saying for this scenario,
I will not
play
banner spear.
so drastically different that it's not fun. But once you start doing that, you may as well just do whatever you want. So I like the definitive the definition of the really tight, like it actually has to be impossible, right? Like achieve an objective that doesn't exist in this scenario, draw again.
See, what makes this a little bit different also regarding, I don't know, certain enemy ones and all that, with our play, we don't know how deep the scenario is, whereas a lot of people can see that from the map overview, right? So there are some times where it's like, it doesn't seem possible right now, but it might be, but then of course it might not, right? And that's obviously probably going to be unique to our group and maybe a couple of others who do it that way. But yeah, most people would generally have an idea if it's one room or if something is going to have a section event that transports them into another room, which then has doors and shit. I don't know.
Well, it's like, I mean, the one that says kill the last enemy, right? Like if you have a blink blade in the party, that's impossible unless you are the blink blade. Like,
yeah. Blink blade in the party, yes. Can't do that.
Yeah.
Or kill the
blink
first
blade
thing.
the blink blade gets the one that says never kill an enemy, then that's also means that the scenario
They can't play a
be
card.
completed. That's it. They're like, oh well, guys, I'm out. I exhaust.
Yeah. They literally
Like,
can't play a single card. Even a basic attack top. They can't even do that.
I can only do move 2. Move 2 pass. Move 2 pass. Move 2 pass.
Someone said when we lose a scenario very closely, so that they're in the last room, 1 or 2 enemies remaining, and we don't feel like replaying the scenario, we often count the scenario as a win, but we reduce the reward to 1 difficulty level below what we played, which really isn't much. The assumption being if we had played 1 lower, we would have won.
No, I wouldn't play with that. But that's fine. Like, I don't think for our group it's something that we would want to do, and I don't think that people at our table would be comfortable just saying yes, we won it when we lost it.
Yeah.
But I can see it in a world where we're not making a podcast, all right, and we don't need to make content, which is one of the reasons why repeating scenarios for us sucks, is that we just do the same thing and talk about the same thing again. I can see it in a world where you're very limited on time, maybe even more limited than us.
Yeah.
Going, I don't want to have to wait 3 weeks to get the group back together to replay that scenario again. Let's just say we finished it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I can see that being just so that we actually get through this campaign, we're all having fun. Completely fine.
You know what's interesting about that is literally the scenario we did last week with the lasers and the automaton. that last bit where it was Phil versus the Steel Automaton, that's that situation right there where it was kind of like he can't do it, and we could have just easily has said, screw it, we won, and just done it then and there. It was that easy, and none of us even came close to suggesting that. We just immediately were like, well, let's just go again, and it's interesting.
But that's the thing, and I mean, as much as we talk about having time constraints because we really only have a few hours to play in our session, we still catch up every week. And I know that there's groups out there, like I've got friends who play, and they are lucky if they get every second week.
Yeah.
And then because Frosthaven's a bit longer than Gloomhaven, they don't always get 2 scenarios in. So in that case, they're playing the same amount as us, half as often as us. So again, I can see a group being like, "Fuck it, let's just count that as done, and we'll move forward."
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. We have been in that situation before, and we haven't done it. I don't think it would fly with us.
Yeah, it's interesting actually when you say that, because if we weren't doing the pod, it's curious what we would do in a situation like that. More that one when it comes down to like a B stick and we lose at the end. Just having a pod kind of changes my mind a little bit around it. I don't know, integrity or something.
Yeah.
Someone said that we instituted a 1 free respec per character rule. We don't tend to look ahead at higher level cards, which is cool. So there were situations where we unknowingly locked ourselves out of certain builds while leveling up. And the in-game cost for respecing is quite expensive, so we made a one-time mulligan rule.
Yes, I think that's a really good house rule.
I like this.
I would implement.
Literally really, really like this. And one of the other main ones that come from this is obviously people who say switch up your cards whenever you want, right? Which I don't agree with. But this, I actually can see having no issues with it.
Yeah. I think you could very easily just say, once per character, you can change all your cards over, right? I don't see there being a really big negative of that. There's no real rule in the game to do it. There's the variant rule to do it, but there's not like a hard and fast, you need a building, you need to do this, you need to do that so that you can achieve this thing. So it's not getting something for free that normally is part of the game. And I think that I've found myself in this situation where I've been like, that card I picked at level 3 or level 4, I'm not really using it anymore because I didn't realize what was coming later, and it's not as useful as I would like it to be. And I don't think that a game like this needs that kind of that opportunity cost.
Yeah.
Or that lost opportunity. So,
yeah.
I like it.
I would have picked Reprisal on my shackles, which I spent a whole video talking about. And I probably would have also done a few changes on my media, which I'm releasing that review very soon. So, yeah, but I didn't, but I would. We're playing Frosthaven with 4 people, but never have time for the solo scenarios. I have house ruled it as if you complete a mastery, you get your solo scenario item, encouraging us to actually complete those hard to impossible masteries that some players didn't even attempt.
Yeah, I like that.
I like it too.
I don't know if you... I mean, yes, I like the idea, and I think it's fine. I'm not sure if you need to make it harder, like you have to complete both of your masteries to get the item, so there's more completion, purely because there are some that are really easy. Like some characters have ones that are super easy and the other one's hard, so it would mean that you have to do both. But some of them have 2 really hard ones, so it means you're not helping that. They're never going to get their item. But yeah, I think the items that from the characters I have seen haven't been busted, right?
No.
Like they've been anything from okay through to that's pretty cool for that character.
Which is actually what people have said. I know that there's a reverse house rule where if you complete your mastery but you don't your solo scenario, but you don't really want the item because you're happy with your current items, you can gain a perk as an alternative. And that's a reverse situation where people are doing it that way. So I like that.
Yeah, I think the soul scenarios as a concept are really good, but I don't know if gating an item that makes the characters more fun is the best, because I don't know, something like complete a mastery, get it, hit level 5, get it, something like that could be cool, right? Because then you get it with enough time to use it. You might not want it because there's other better items out there. Like I think I've gotten one before with a character and gone like, I think maybe it was leaving the banner spear and gone like, that's really cool. I'm not going to use it. Like, because I would have used it if I got it 5 levels ago. But most of them are really hard to complete at level 5. Like, you need to be, from some of the ones I've seen, level 6 or 7 and have those extra high level abilities to be able to complete it. But then the time you get it, it's not something that you want. Or you've got, I don't know. I like it. Yeah.
One I quite like, which is what someone wrote, is if you run out of stamina, then you can still move to attack 2 until you win/die. It's great for when you come literally one attack away from winning, but don't quite have the stamina, even though your health is okay. I'm personally not interested in replaying scenarios. I came very close to winning, so it works great for us.
No, I wouldn't do that. Just do what the other person's doing and say you won.
Yeah, okay.
Like, because then, I mean, then what you do is you say, yeah, if you run out of stamina and you run out of hit points, then you can do a move 1, attack 1 until you win.
Yeah.
Like, at what point are you saying you lost?
Yeah.
Like, that person's saying they do, and no, and it's fine. Like, again, if you don't want to replay scenarios, I think that find a way not to do that, because I think, again, move through the game. There's a lot of scenarios. The black helicopter's not coming to get you because you didn't finish the scenario properly, right? But if these people are in position where they're like, I refuse to repeat a scenario that's really close. Oh, I just ran out of stam. I'm going to move to attack 2 because I've still got a lot of health. And then they die. Do they repeat it? Are they like, oh, it was so close, but that house rule I brought in, I have to stick to. So I guess we have to repeat this one, guys. Like,
some of these are very creative.
Can you imagine that on this last one we just did?
Yeah.
Going like, oh, okay, we're out of stem. That's okay. I'll do move 2, attack 2. Oh, wait, that's actually move 1, attack 2 with disadvantage. Like, and I'm hitting these things that have retaliate 2 and 3, right? Like,
no,
you're probably
you get to ignore the rules because you're a ghost.
That's true. Yes, I would say no on that one. Find a just win.
We have found a few that you liked, but yeah, that one broke it. Okay, cool. We don't allow anyone to be able to pull the same *2 or miss, like a null, modifier twice in a row. If that happens, we'll shuffle again. So in other words, you get towards the end of your thing, and your second last card is like *2, and you're hitting multiple times. You pull the thing, and you're going to hit a third time, so you shuffle your deck again. And if the top one is a null, because you finish with a null, and now you're starting with a null, they will discount that null that just happened, the latest one, and shuffle the deck and draw again until it's not a null. So you can't null twice in a row. Not curses and not blesses, but you can't, yeah.
So is that across turns or in the same turn?
In the same turn. Oh, I suppose technically both.
So like, how I would always shuffle my null to the top. Does that count? Is that like me immunity to my
It'll help
power?
you. It's a buff for you.
Okay, cool.
It's a nerf to fill, basically.
Oh yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It happens so infrequently that I don't know if it needs a house rule, but sure. Why not?
That's actually the easier way to do it. So you hit something, you miss. Next turn, you have to shuffle it before you play your next turn, and then you draw your miss again. And no, they don't like that. Which is like, you just sometimes, like, you get on with it, you're fine.
I mean, a cleaner way of doing that, if you really want to do that, is if you draw your miss, right? Then you draw one more card on your next turn, do your next turn, and then shuffle.
Yeah.
Then you can't draw it again, right? Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. It's so, I'll keep wanting to say it's rare, but it's not.
Oh, it's rare for everyone else except for me, who manages to put that on top.
Yeah. I want an updated opinion on this one, and this is, the universal one. We freely allow characters to change cards, right? Rather than choosing one card each level to add to your pool of the hand, you make sure it's legal still, so one from each level. This should be how the comments though. This should be how the game should be by default, because the respec rule in Frosthaven is a joke. And then further along, someone says that their group does the same thing, but they have a gentleman's agreement to not abuse this, with very little context. And I wonder what a gentleman's agreement could be.
It's don't abuse it and make it stupid. But everyone's level of broken and stupid is completely different.
Yeah.
The only question I would have about this, no, I think that's too much freedom, right? Because should be some decisions, and that's why the free respec is like, I mean, it's an arbitrary number. Like, do you get 1? Do you get 2? Do you get 5? Whatever. But pick your number. But if you can't pick more than 1 from each level, what do you do when you level up and you want to pick like 2 level 3 cards? Like, can you still do that, but you don't
Yeah.
have a 4?
Yeah, because it's legal.
Okay, so you're legal. Okay,
Full
all right.
flexibility
Because
based on
in
the
the thing it
scenario you're going
specifically
in on.
said, you can only pick 1 from each level.
Oh, that was my example. Sorry. That
Oh,
was me
okay.
trying to explain, make
What
it
legal
legal
is.
still, 1 from each level. But yeah, you can obviously work around that.
Yeah, okay, cool. Oh, cool. No, again, I think that the picking of the cards, ignoring balance reasons, I think that discovering the 2 cards you get when you open it is and being a decision makes that leveling up process more fun. If you get both cards instantly and you just pick what you want to
100%.
play on the scenario,
Yep.
I think you're missing out on a little bit of fun,
Yep.
right? But people who don't find that decision fun, right, who get really like, AP about it, like, oh, I don't like the idea that I'm missing out on something. Yeah, I can see them wanting to do that. But
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it's fun having to choose.
Yes. And I'm with you on that. My stance will probably never change. I think it's a fundamental part of Gloomhaven. They've kept it for Frosthaven. It's not something that that's fundamentally wrong with the game. This is part of the epic campaign that is a Haven game.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Anyway, let's not go back down that rabbit hole. Yeah.
Someone said, my sister and I agreed you get $1 per kill. Like, we don't have to land on it or loot after a kill. You just automatically get it. She likes to spend a lot, lol.
I mean, sure. Sounds like it works for you and your sister. Sure, go ahead.
Oh, that's cool. Once the room is cleared of monsters, coins may be picked up by walking over them. Obviously, nice short money ones. And of course, I didn't include, but the standard, once the thing's finished, grab all the coins, divvy them up, that kind of stuff. Which I'm sure you don't see a point in us doing.
No.
Okay, this was an interesting. Oh yeah.
In saying that, I still think that the how you get XP and how you loot, I would love to see another version of how that works in the next Haven game.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, I don't know if there's a better version. Okay, it might just be one of those things that it is the best way that they can do it, and it's fine. But I'd love to see an alternative, because there is a point in with the scenario you get to where you're like, I'm just going to burn a few cards and I'm just going to not kill the monster so I can pick up some loot. And that's silly, right? But I don't know a clean way of making that not happen.
Well, we'll have to see, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And maybe it ain't broke.
That's it. If it's not, that's it. And I mean, I'd love to know as well, which I will never find out, but I'd love to know what like Isaac and the development team have thought of to try to, and what the problems with that were.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that they've explored it. And I'd love to know is like come up with a thing and then go like, yeah, but then that creates this problem, which is worse than the other problem you're talking about. Just to see, because just from a design perspective, I'd love seeing that stuff.
Do you hear that? That's Dwarf typing in our Discord right now. He's up to this part. He's yeah, he knows.
Yeah.
Someone said use both cards at your level if you want. A lot of times we don't, because we like our current playstyles. But if I hit level 4 and I want to use both level 4 cards, we do it.
I mean, it's the same as the other one, but you're putting some weird limitation on you can't do it unless you want to.
Yeah, well, it's not even legal, right? Because when you level 5, you can have one level 5 card.
Yeah, okay.
They're just going, hey, I leveled up. I'm taking both of these cards with me now.
They're both really, yeah, that's fair. I mean, level 9 becomes a lot better, right?
Oh, yeah, so much better.
Yeah, like,
I think
which
it's a
of
buff
these
to
two
the
broken
players.
cards? Yeah.
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 Probably pretty lame to most people, but my wife and I play 2 players together. And we'll usually cheat a little at the end if we're going to lose, just because we both know we're the type to be annoyed by a loss and not want to repeat the scenario. And then in brackets, I wrote, I guess this house rule is called cheat a little. So what are your thoughts on cheat a little?
If you're fine with cheating, go ahead, right?
It's pretty
If
cute.
you find losing more annoying than knowing that you won by cheating, then yes,
Okay.
it seems fine.
We got 5 left. Someone rolls a die to determine ambiguous monster movement and the like, and they highly recommend it. Which in my head, it's kind of like, roll a die clockwise, anti-clockwise, something like that
Yeah.
for those ambiguous things.
Conceptually, I like that, and I do not want to do it at all for the admin.
No.
It's an extra step. It's playing role playing games. We always would come up with these ideas for, oh yeah, you can do a hit location, you can roll this die, you can do that, you can roll this die, etc., etc. Then when you have to do a combat with it, and you realize you've rolled like 100 more dice than you need to, and you're like, wow, this seemed like a really cool idea until we actually had to do it.
Mm.
Yeah. I think digitally it would be fine.
Yeah. I think our party currently, our system is, okay, this moves, well, they're both the same there. And then someone goes, can it go there? And then we're like, sure.
Yeah.
And then it goes there. That's our system. It's nice and quick.
Yep.
We highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Someone said we house ruled every 250 XP after 9. Lets you pick another skill, which I assume means card, to add to your thing, even if it's a double up or something like that. Because my friend kept making the same character and avoiding his retirement. Probably made the game easy, but everyone was having fun, so who cares? Yes, so someone wants to play the character forever, but because the progression stops, they have created extra progression so they can continue playing the same character well past 9.
Did you say every 250 XP or every 50?
I think it says 250. I've copied and pasted it. It is, but this person really doesn't want to jump off this character, so...
I want to play the Bling Blade forever.
Yeah.
Okay.
But without rolling a new one.
That's fine. I don't knowing how the game works. Don't not retire because you need to. But if you are at a point where you don't need to retire anymore because you've unlocked everything, then sure.
Yeah. The only issue I have with this though is that if you get to 9, right, you're already pretty strong. Like level 9 is usually the part where you're just deleting half of a scenario. And then if you're allowed to, you're getting even stronger by adding more options to your deck, like the extra level 9 card that you didn't get, things like that.
Yeah.
Thus making it even like easier, but potentially worse for your team or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose some form of system that would not let you do that makes sense. But I like the idea of allowing people to be at a point where they can play a character past 9 and there's still some incentive, whether it's gold or resources or a free respec. Like every, I don't know, what is it? How much? It's like 40 XP or something like that, and it scales up. Every 50 XP, you can change one of your cards if you want to.
I think
I don't know. You could re-level through. So when you hit level 2, you got to take add the second level 2 card to your pool. So once you technically get through to level 9, then you would have the full suite of cards that you could pick from anything from. I feel like once somebody's leveled to level 18, right, then you're probably not that worried about difficulty level of the game.
No.
So yeah, whatever.
I think Gloomhaven 2.0 has put a level 10. Like there's 9,
Oh, really?
but then there's whatever the calculation plus an extra 5 XP equal retirement. I think that is being implemented in 2.0.
Well, this person doesn't want that because they don't want to retire.
No. So they're going to house rule that.
Yeah.
100%. Someone said they already posted this somewhere else, but rather than looting per person, we share loot by pulling it at the end of the scenario, taking turns picking what we want, and with the player who looted the most picking first.
They draft the loot.
Yeah, which is interesting. If someone's looking
cool.
for a certain mat and they're just really unlucky with it, it's a cool way of doing it.
Yeah,
and it's thematic.
I think, huh?
And it seems thematic because you're not picking up excess stuff. You're taking what you've already got, and then you've gone to a little campfire. You put it all out, and essentially it's trading, right? It's the thing that a lot of people do anyway.
And I don't know. We must have heard it before, but I don't mind the idea of pulling all the loot at the end and then just divvying it up how people want it.
Yeah.
Or in some way doing that. Maybe with the restriction of who. You'd have to have the restriction of you can only get as many as you looted because otherwise you just have one person vacuuming everything and then just splitting it up at the end.
Yeah.
But I don't mind that. The idea of like, pulling it all out at the end and going like, cool, just like, what do you want?
Yeah.
I don't think it gets that busted because by the time you get halfway through the game, the mats and stuff don't really matter. You
Well,
can buy so much of it from Frosthaven that if you're ever short on anything, right, you
well,
just get it.
the majority of mats anyway, if you're not doing anything with it, they go into Frosthaven most likely anyway, right? To go towards buildings and all that kind of stuff. So unless you're literally trying to get mats for a upgraded item, yeah, it's most likely going to get pulled anyway
Yep.
through the Frosthaven loot mechanic. All right, two more. This one's nice and easy. You can push laterally.
Nah.
Yeah, big nah. Like,
Well, it's
as someone who plays a
changing
lot
the
of
game.
pushing and pulling characters, trying to line it up is really quite tricky sometimes. And yeah.
It takes some of the puzzle aspect out of it. Like that's just starting to change the rules of the game. That's so much of a house rules, just saying like I'm gonna change the way that this ability works.
Well, like, cheat a little is a house rule, don't forget.
It's not a house rule, it's called cheating.
It's a house
Like,
rule that we
Yeah, so yeah, I don't know. I think that then makes push and pull way too powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, too powerful. Because
Okay.
you don't have to it doesn't matter where you are.
No, not really. And it just,
Like,
obviously for
yeah,
moving things
if
from
you're standing
traps. Yeah.
if you're standing next to someone and have a push, you basically that says go anywhere,
Mm.
right? Except towards you, right? Because that would be a pull, right?
Yes.
But why not? When you're making
Well,
it go anywhere, you
when
may
you're
as well.
doing that already, push and pull you may as well interchange, right? And they're just the same thing. You just decide, basically move it to wherever you want.
Yeah. One thing that I think is interesting that you could house rule, or like I'd like to see it changed in general, is that the pull, it probably more goes with pull, but maybe it's with push as well. As long as they end up further away from you by the end of it, it's fine. Because sometimes you have like a pull 2 or 3 but you can't get them to go that way because there might be an obstacle or like a character, and you're trying to, and the first movement would be not any closer, so it doesn't work, but the other two would be, so you kind of can't pull them around. Where that would be kind of cool if it's like by the end of it they just needed to be closer than when they started.
Oh, that's the puzzle,
But
Gaz. That
no, I
obstacle's
know.
there.
I'm
Work
just
around
saying.
it. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah,
I get you.
I'm just saying that would be. I'd be fine with that if it got changed generally, as long as it wasn't. Again, as long as it wasn't broken. But yeah.
Last one. We play that you only draw one once for red area of effect attacks. Feels more natural and saves time.
That is, I think, just a nerf to some characters that have big AoE attacks.
Especially, I mean, you want to go through AMD, right? Like a lot of characters do.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Most of the time, if you've got AoE attacks, you want to dig through your AMD because there's a whole bunch of spicy shit in there. It also nerfs advantage, because advantage on a big AoE attack is kind of like, hey, just pick whatever you want, right? And yeah, so I mean, I don't have a problem with it. Like it is a lot cleaner and a lot quicker.
Obviously,
but
if you're good at pulling your ×2, your crit, like you will 100% want this, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. It could be funneled into making certain things really powerful.
Yeah.
If you stack your deck with blessers, and or like have a really good AMD, have some AoE attacks and can give yourself advantage, you have the ability to like always do shitloads of damage. Right. So I think that's
no.
No.
Is there anything in tonight's episode that you would like to add, Gaz?
No, I forgot. I think there was, but I'll remember next week.
Okay. Well, we will wrap it up there. This is officially the longest episode we have ever done, and that was skipping through. That was trying to rush through some of the stuff there.
Wow.
No, it was a good chat. It was a really good chat.
How long?
We're getting 5 minutes off 2 hours.
Whoa. Well, my daughter was asking me tonight. She's like, what's the longest episode you've done? I'm like, oh, we usually wrap up at about an hour and a half, but we try to be about an hour. So I'll have to tell her tomorrow that we will miss it 2 hours.
New PB.
Yeah.
So yes, I will add all of these house rules we've discussed into a poll. and let Discord decide which one we will use moving forward. Should be fun, right?
Sounds good.
I've been your host, Eddie. I've been joined again by my good mate, Gaz.
And remember, when it comes to rolling terribly, it's all in the disadvantage.
Cheat a little.
Just cheat a little.